Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Agency Platform VIP webinar series. Today, we're going to be talking about, as the industry terms it, keyword research and how it applies to sales, how we can help you with that, how it can increase your odds of closing certain leads, and we'll talk a lot about data. So it has to do with helping you close sales, but it's also going to have to do with working with your dedicated consultant and other topics. So before I get into this too deeply, let me know if you can hear me okay and see my screen okay. If you can give me a shout out in the questions box, you should be able to find that in your chat window. Shout out to hey Darren, Kelly, Mark, Andy. For those of you in attendance, if you could let me know if you currently do your own keyword research, and if so, I'm curious what tool you use and when you do it. So I'm going to go over the format. I'm going to talk about when to do keyword research. Well, why don't I just go to my table of contents overview. What data sources does our keyword research come from? You probably guess. When to request keyword research from us, how we're going to help provide it to you. I will literally show you how to request it. How to review the keyword research with your lead, which is a big deal. We'll have quite a talk on that. Some people really would refuse to go over keyword research with leads. Others can't live without it. I'll talk about it from both angles. Choosing primary and secondary keywords, AKA keyword categories, using keyword research to upsell a client. And we're going to talk about choosing keywords quite a bit, which is a big deal. You know, anybody can pay a marketing agency for an SEO campaign, and you could have the best SEO company executing an SEO campaign for keywords that are unrealistic or for keywords that were too broadly diversified, and the campaign could fail to produce traffic and conversions for the client as a result of targeting the wrong keywords. So keywords mean so much in SEO, and it's a really big deal. So we're going to talk quite a bit about choosing keywords, and including the whole what to do if there's zero search volume particularly. And I threw in a slide that's not on the overview talking about multiple geo-targets for a client that doesn't have a physical location, because we all know you get this. Just to make sure that I don't take off in the wrong direction, can you give me a shout out if you're new to the industry and you don't know what keyword research is? I want to make sure I tune my talk to the audience that I'm pretty sure is on. Okay, so I assume most of you are familiar with SEO. We deal with digital marketing agencies from all walks of life. I also assume that most of you do your own keyword research. Brad says he uses SEMrush. Great tool, good tool for keyword research. There's, I have a pet peeve with SEMrush on research. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but SEMrush does not apply their own competition score to keywords by analyzing the first page of results. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I checked, they did not do that. And therefore, I didn't like that, so I don't use them. Brad uses Moz. Yeah, not real familiar with Moz's tool, but Andy uses a Keywhere Everywhere tool. It'd be awesome if you guys could give me URLs to this stuff. I could give it to everyone else. Otherwise, you could just Google what I'm saying. Keywords Everywhere tool. Kelly and Ian say SERPstat, and then of course the Google Keyword Planner, right? Thank you, Andy. So I'm going to grab, while we're on the topic, just to throw out some tools. It's great. It makes it so hard to copy. What is this? Yeah. So what I'll do is throw them out there. I'll send in. We'll get an email out with a webinar recording. When I do, I'm going to include these URLs. It's hard to copy and paste in here. All right. So how about we get started? So first of all, I don't mind sharing with you guys, we use KW Finder for our keyword research. We also use the Google Keyword Planner. One of the reasons why we use the KW Finder, which is kwfinder.com, and I'm going to give you some reading material on that here in a little bit, so don't worry about Googling it, because they analyze the first page of results on a keyword and they establish a competition score. Now you have to understand, I don't care how advanced your analysis is going to be by automatically analyzing different data points on the first page of Google results to establish a competition score on a keyword. It's going to be really hard to always nail that down. But we wanted to track down the tool that we felt was the on top of their game with scoring individual keywords by competition level, at least to ballpark it, right? So as you would probably not be surprised, based on the search volume data that comes from the keyword research we do, that data is provided by Google, but the competition data is unique to KW Finder. And I'm going to throw you the URL to read up on this. I think that you'll find it interesting. I get asked questions about this quite a bit in terms of how do I know keyword competition levels, and that's a very deep question to have to answer. And geez, where's my? Let me know if you guys get this link. And I just lost my chat window. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, you got the link. All right, this is a worthwhile read. It's not updated the most, but they keep, because if you follow KW Finder and Mongols, you'll find that they publish updates on how they update their competition scoring on a keyword whenever Google makes major updates. So I think that's a pretty big deal that they're always updating their algorithm on how they score it. Basically what they're doing, whenever they look at a keyword, they're going to tell you the search volume, they're going to tell you the normal thing like the average cost per click, and then they're going to come up with a keyword research competition score. And what this is they're going to crawl the first page of Google and they're going to look at every single page on that, every single search engine result on that first page. And they're going to analyze that page with certain metrics that you probably wouldn't be surprised to see, like domain authority, page authority, citation flow, trust flow. And then they're going to take into account some other normal things. If the other company that does this is SE Cockpit, shout out to SE Cockpit. So if you're wanting to stack KW Finder up against another keyword research tool that also uses their own internal algorithm to establish a competition level per keyword by analyzing the first page of search results, that would be SE Cockpit. Let me throw you a lot of people have never heard of SE Cockpit. They're not real good with their own rankings for, keyword research tool. It's secockpit.com. This is going to, sorry, I'll dial in this whole copy paste. Okay. But I'm not going to talk about SE Cockpit a lot. A lot of what they do is similar to KW Finder. I find KW Finder to be more user-friendly. If you're categorizing keywords or adding it to a list, I find it easier to work with. And there's some other reasons why I prefer KW Finder. But SE Cockpit does a lot of the same thing. In terms of, our team compared SE Cockpit data on competition variables with just looking at first page results on a common sense level. And we found that the competition scoring at KW Finder seemed to make a lot more sense than SE Cockpit. So there is that. So I would recommend, if you have time, to take a read through this so that you understand how the scoring works on the keyword research that we provide to you. And I'm going to talk about that a lot more, but keep in mind, we're able to deliver keyword research to you that would have the client's rankings, keywords based on the research based on the direction that you would give us, but also it's going to have the competition scoring on each keyword, which really should help you to decide how competitive an SEO campaign do you want to run for that client, right? So again, the competition scoring levels on these keywords, it's not bulletproof. It's not It won't always make sense, but for the most part, it usually does make quite a bit of sense. So at least we can use it as a ballpark figures. The best thing you can do is just to read through this article for you to know how they score them. Okay, let me grab. So the other question that I get asked quite a bit is when should I ask for keyword research? And here's something that I want to make sure that you guys understand, which by the way, yes, your dedicated services consultant would be able to get the keyword research done for you and help you to decide which keywords are best to target for a client, which you can do by submitting a support ticket. I'll walk you through that later. But a lot of times people don't know when you should, agencies don't know the best time to request keyword research from us. And I recommend that you pre-qualify your lead before doing so. Again, different membership levels have a different threshold of how many times you can request keyword research in a month from us, whether it's 10 or, you know, the ceiling from there. I recommend making sure that you qualify a lead. So for example, if you were wanting to send a report out to a lead that you've never spoken to, just to maybe bait them and get them to respond, I would run one of our audit reports if you were going to do that, which those have limitations as well. But if anything, I would run one of those. I would only, if I were you, I would only request keyword research from us after you have had an initial meeting with the client. And by that, I mean, you've been able to get them on the phone and speak to them. And I'll leave it at that generalization. If you've spoken to the lead and you feel like you have a solid lead on your hands, and then you would want to be able to produce keyword research for them, then I would request it from us. That's what we're here for. Now, not every single time would you want to run keyword research for a lead, right? And so that's also what I want to talk about. Not just when to request keyword research from us, but should you for all clients or not? So pre-sales versus post-sales. I would say the majority of all agencies working with us have the keyword research done after they pay us for the SEO campaign. Now, there's some advantages to this. Obviously, not having to review keyword research with a lead before you close them, it saves time, it avoids a lot of questions, and it takes you, for the most part, I mean, depending on how you're pitching the lead, but it would take you out of the whole expectations management, especially on a keyword level. Some people get scared of putting keyword research in front of a client because if you share the search volume behind those keywords, maybe you have 20 keywords on a list and one of them has 1,000 search volume and the rest of them have 20, and you're likely to get backed into a corner for the rest of the duration of that SEO campaign on that one keyword by that client. That's the whole nightmare vision of people. So, and the advantage to not having keyword research done pre-sales is it speeds through the process, it gets it paid, it gets it on the table. And then while we're doing keyword research after you've paid and launched the campaign with us, and maybe we're going back and forth with you to finalize keywords, we're able to work on other parts of the campaign, right? So it does get the campaign started faster as well. Pre-sales. So yeah, if you're going to request keyword research pre-sales after qualifying a lead, when would it be? And also, if for any reason, if you feel like it's going to benefit you to be able to close a lead pre-sales, and we're going to talk about the different parts of data that are provided to you. So maybe you would want keyword research, but not go over all of the data with them. It most likely would benefit you if, for example, if your lead is technical with SEO, if they start talking to you about keywords and they want keyword research and they want to go over keywords with you, I call that more of a technical sale. Obviously, if you're in a technical sale with someone that wants to talk about it, keyword research is usually pretty mandatory. A dealer with marketing director, there's a typo. If you're dealing with a marketing director, obviously that's more of a technical sale, but some of it also depends on your sales style. I know agencies and some of the most successful agencies in sales that they don't get technical at all with a client. I also know some agencies that do zero screen sharing whenever they're closing a lead, and they handle it for the most part off of a cell phone call, and it's verbal. And they close them that way, and then they email them the contract and they go from there, and they do not go over keyword research. And then there's other personality profiles that really like to get into the keyword research, especially sometimes if you're handling higher end clients, you want to make sure that you're managing expectations. and you're going over the keywords you're going to target so that you don't get backed into a corner later on. Or you can also run keyword research after a client pays you. And so I do want to point out, and for whenever we do keyword research to help you with sales, obviously that's if you request keyword research from us before you pay for the campaign. There's no keyword research credit or limitations after you pay for a campaign, because that's just part of the campaign, right? But if we do keyword research after you pay for an SEO campaign, then obviously after you go in, you make payment, you fill out the intake form, then we'll get the keyword research done and send it back to you. So on the keyword research format, let me just show you, because it's going to help if I show you the format that we pull this back in. So one of the cool things about the format that we're able to provide you the keyword research in is that we also run the rankings. And I would love if anyone could give me a shout out on a keyword research tool that will produce the rankings right beside the keywords in this format. Because if you can, you'll tell me something new, because I don't know of a single one. Also to note, the keyword research that we do, it is manual. We have to go in, search for the keywords, add them. Obviously the software helps to select them, but this is a manual selection process, right? So we would intake from you the direction on the keyword research that we need to go, whether it's what are the geo targets, what are the cities, what are the keyword categories that we need to research under, and then we're going to export that data, and then on a separate system we run the keyword rankings. After we run the keyword rankings, we then go back through, we filter it, and we apply colors to the different competition levels. So at a competition level, it's easy to look at and know based on the little competition chart on the right, what is easy, still easy, possible, hard, very hard, and don't do it. So normally, obviously anything that's easy or still easy should be fair game. Possible, I would say, is probably pretty fair game, and then hard and above is something you should be careful about. Now again, the competition levels as calculated by KW Finder are not bulletproof. One of the things that you got to understand is that KW Finder does not take into consideration where the client's or the lead's website is currently ranking at when they're running these competition levels, because they're not running the rankings for you. This keyword rank column, we're running this on a separate software, pulling it back into the sheet, formatting it, and putting it in this nice format with you. So you would want to understand that you could have a client that has a lead that has a keyword that is in the 85 to 100 bracket, which is extremely hard. We recommend don't do it. But what if they're ranking at position 5? Or what if they're ranking at position 11 and they're at the very top of the second page? That changes the ball game, right? So one of the things that's kind of, you got to just wait when you're interpreting this research is, where are they currently ranking at? So that's important. Does anyone have any questions or clarification on the format that's here? You probably all understand the average cost per click, right? SEO competition, you'd have to read through that article that I threw over for you to grasp that a bit more. Rank is pretty clear. Average search volume is provided by Google. It should match the average search volume as provided in the Keyword Planner by Google. Mr. Darren is on the line as well. Darren, as usual, let me know if you feel like chatting with everybody today. Because what I'm going to go over next is how to review the keyword research with your client. Again, given that you deem that it would be beneficial to go over keyword research with the client.
Thank you.
Hey, Darren, you're unmuted.
Okay, so I want to help all of you. This is all data. This is all good. How do you explain that in layman terms to a client? In other words, so they understand it. And the easiest way to do that once you have the keywords is this. I want you to imagine if you wanted to rank #1 on Google for the word car. That'd be really, really aggressive. Now, let's say you wanted to sell a used car. That's 2 words, because now it's defining not new, it's used. And so that's helping. Then you say, well, how about used car Toyota? Now you're getting more clear. And as you get larger and larger on your long tail keywords, you then start to have laser focus on exactly what you want as my client to have people contact you. We don't want to waste labor with people calling you because you have the wrong term, but more importantly, we don't want to waste your money by going after a word that's too aggressive. So an example would be used car Toyota Minneapolis, or used car Toyota Minneapolis 2015. Then at that point, you'll have more direct traffic to exactly what you sell. That's all I wanted to say, Paul, using something like that as an example.
I like that. I think everybody can understand that.
Yep, it's easy for the people who look at numbers like this, and this, if you watch a client's eyes glaze over or they don't understand it, that's how you explain it to them. They go, oh, okay, now I get it. And now with, people searching via voice, it's also even more helpful. You can tailor that into the conversation. Okay, I'm off. Mute me again.
Oh, you're good. If you just want to mute on your side, man, you can co.
Okay, I'll mute. I'll mute that. I'll mute. All right.
I've got one of those very long days today. So I require more coffee than normal. So let's talk about how to review this with a client. Darren, pipe up anytime. No problem, man. Choose what data to present. So obviously we have search volume, average cost per click, SEO competition, and rank. Look, whenever we provide you the keyword research, it's either, it might be in an Excel sheet. It really shouldn't be, as per my direction to the staff. It should be in a Google sheet. And no, just keep in mind, and I know this is obvious, but you can delete any of this data that you want. If you don't want to go over all this data, you can hide a column or you can delete a column. If you don't want to go over SEO competition with them, you don't have to. Sometimes people want to. Oftentimes, agencies like to use the SEO competition internally and not have to explain it to a client, but color code it just so that they understand on their level. And then they like to align that to whether or not they should upsell the client into a more competitive package, right? The average cost per click, again, that's to your preference. Some agencies like to use average cost per click. Sometimes it depends on the data. For example, down here on line 21, Kohl Sculpting NYC has an average cost per click of almost $33 per click, 9,900 search volume. Wow, what if I could get you on page one for that? What would that be worth? Thousands of dollars I would save you in PPC. Do you want to get into that conversation or not? Well, it might depend on the data. Again, if you don't want to, just hide or delete the cost per click column data. Normally, and sometimes, guys, sometimes even average search volume is questionable, or whether or not you want to present to that. I would say the real staples, obviously, are the keyword and the rank. Those are almost always going to be gone over because the rank has no harm, and you want to talk to the client about what is their visibility right now online, like specifically, especially if they have multiple geo targets or multiple physical locations, multiple service categories or product categories. What's your visibility look like right now? What are your priorities? Maybe for this particular service or product category, you're ranking really well, and for that one, you're not. Which one's worth more revenue or more profit to you? And what do you want to prioritize, right? In terms of having search volume on there, Darren, do you go over search volumes with the client on keyword research, or do you leave that alone?
We kind of set up expectations on search volume equals possible traffic. So we kind of put it all together by saying, listen, if you have only 10 for search volume and that is it, it might not look like a lot because you want to do the one over here that says 2,000, but those are 10 exact searches. That is exactly what you want to sell, which is your economic engine that is going to move the company forward and you're going to show success. If you see success, then you expand out from there. And usually the words and the long tail keywords are in the short one, like the word car. So you got the presentation in the beginning. Then we explain it, and the client goes, oh, I get it. So let's go around the pond. Let's go around the huge lake and do the little ponds on the outside, and then that will help us filter in on the larger pond. By osmosis, sometimes that happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, but if I was the prospective lead on this one on line 13, I would just look at it and say, well, with the whole weight loss category, Weight Loss NYC has 33,600 search volume a month. I only want to target that one keyword.
So you can search it by what is the most effective way to lose weight, or what weight loss? What's the best way to do a quick weight loss program? by doing that, and say there's only 50 searches, that's still the same thing with the word weight loss, and people are asking direct questions to Google, and then your company shows up. Wouldn't you rather have somebody who's actively looking for answers versus just the word weight loss, which could be a weight loss product and or a weight loss machine or a weight loss pill? And then they go, oh, I get it.
Right. And the way that we organize our SEO strategies are, we group keywords into keyword categories, and I'm gonna later go over what that looks like on the packages, although you've probably already seen it. You'll see that every SEO local or you could call it national or non-regional SEO package has a numeric limitation on the number of keyword categories that we target, and then total keywords. So maybe there'd be 5 keywords in one category, and those keywords would typically be mapped to the same target page. So in other words, for weight loss, maybe there'd be 5 weight loss keywords that are close enough in topic matter that'd be mapped to the same page. So one of the ways to present it to a client in keyword research is to let them know that we'd be optimizing for one keyword category up to 5 different keywords that are similar, and it's more of a global approach. The whole exact keyword all over the place and in anchor text and backlinks is not history, but times have changed quite a bit. So sometimes that angle helps. And then keeping the conversation around what the client understands. I think it's really important, especially for those of you who are kind of wired for a technical consultation and you know who you are. Make sure that you keep the conversation around what the client understands and really what's going to catch their attention and what's going to get them excited. One of it is if you're displaying the search volume, it represents opportunity, and I think the word opportunity is a great word to use as opposed to traffic or search volume. I think it's important to speak the lead or the client's language, and what that search volume represents is opportunity. And every single time a person types in that keyword into Google, there are search results. And if they're looking for someone to buy something from, whether it's a service or a product, they're going to find someone on page 1. And that's how much opportunity that represents, is that search volume. And now here's where you're ranking at. So if you have a discussion with a client on keyword research, a lot of it is about, look at this opportunity and let's look at where you are. There's a lot of opportunity and you're not in front of it. How can we get you excited? Because I'm talking to you about how we're going to resolve this problem. And we're going to get you in front of all of that opportunity, because right now, that means if you're not there, all of your competition is going to take those leads. And we're going to get you there. And that should be exciting for a business owner to be able to understand that. Keep in mind, most of these business owners you're going to speak to have never seen this data before. This is wizard data. This is data that they never knew existed that they could get their hands on. This is magical data. So
okay, I'm going to give you the best sales line. Give you the best sales line.
We'll take it, Darren.
All right. And I want, since I don't see the chat, I want you all to respond if you like this. When you're talking to a business owner or marketing person, especially over the age of 45-ish, if you have that person, before you even start the meeting, be it on the phone, on a cell phone, on a GoToMeeting, or in front of them, you sit down, you say, hey, before we get started, can you please go get your yellow pages? Now, how many of you just laughed, first of all? Right. And that's what everybody does. They sit there and they chuckle inside and go, is this guy crazy? And then they'll laugh and they'll say, well, may I ask why you're laughing or why you don't have one? And then the response will be, well, because I use Google. And this is the line. What makes you different than any other person in the world? And they look at you and you give it a pause. Say, now you understand that if you're not being found online, you're not being found and you're doing your company an injustice. I want to be straightforward with you. And so what I'm going to show you is how keywords and how SEO can help you. That right there will help you get sales, because they then take that idea in the back of their mind. Why am I sitting in front of this person who's trying to sell me hocus pocus and words and I'm paying money for air? And now you're saying, oh, if I pay money, then this should happen. If that should happen, then I should get leads. Now, can people chat? Was that helpful or not? And then I'm done with that one.
Shout out if that was helpful. I can tell you that was helpful so far. Feedback is good. And it's I think part of what that resonates towards as well is just making sure that Look, it should go without saying, but before you dive into a technical consultation with a client like this, make sure they understand the value of SEO. A lot of technical consultants skip that. Darren, you're a master sales guy. Making sure the client is first sold on SEO before you get into a technical consultation is really important, because otherwise they're still trying to figure out the value of SEO and whether or not they want to buy into SEO or not. That can be resolved without ever getting into a technical consultation. And Darren, you gave the picture perfect way of making that crystal clear to business owners. You would think that business owners that are in certain verticals or niches would know that this is where everybody's looking for you by far and large, but not necessarily, man. They got bombarded with all these different directories and still print capabilities on advertising, and you'd be shocked how many options are in front of them that confuse the heck out of them, or they got burned before. Right?
Well, let's look at that. Let's look at what you just said. IP.com, Dex.com, ThomasNet, all those places that are out there that are saying, hey, we can get you found. Well, guess where they all are? They're on Google. So why be on a subversion of Google? Why be where all your competition is? Why not own your lakeshore property versus going into somebody else's property that limits you to success?
Yeah, you're a man of magical words, Darren. I like that. Back in the day, back in the day, 2010, 2013 range, really it seemed like a huge industry competition of SEO versus PPC, and that was always my pitch. Why lease ads whenever you could own it with SEO?
Well, my line to everybody is: do you want to own the lakeshore and or the oceanfront property, or do you want to own it and be there for a long time? Because you move in, you stay there for a while. If you don't do anything, eventually you'll fall off. PPC, it's there and it's gone. You can control, you can turn the faucet on and turn the faucet off. Mm-hmm. But what good is it? Because SEO will ultimately help you in your costs of your PPC by having a better ranking as well, score. So you show them the benefits of both, but you want how they work together. And then ultimately it's about your website experience, but I can't get into that either. So
curious what you think about this slide, Darren, using keyword research to upsell a client, which let me, before we dive into
I wish I could show you my screen. I could read to you why we make 1 month's worth of wages or 1 month worth of our profit. It's called our research and development. It is the blueprint for your success. Nobody does it. Everybody's afraid to ask for money, but the more professional you are, the more you show the client that you care. You guys already at eBrands do a fantastic job laying out the foundation for the next 6 months of research. Once they've picked their keywords, you tell them what pages you're going to work on. You go through that with the client and you say, okay, this is our foundation that you're going to hold us accountable to. That right there could be a $1,500 payment, and nobody puts value in that.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'll have to explore that with you more. I want to point out to everyone, as you probably I know you've all already seen, like for example, this our local SEO plans is similar with national. The number of keyword categories that we target and the target keywords that we go after. So for example, if it's a local starter, 1 keyword category, 5 target keywords. But and so what is 1 keyword category? Well, 1 keyword category should be similar keywords that would be targeted on 1 page that complement each other. So if it's, for example, if it's a dentist on their homepage, it would be dentist and city name dentist, I don't know, dental company, city name. They should be they should benefit each other, either they're synonyms or they're similar searches, but they would be targeted on the same page. And that's be 1 keyword category. So normally it's all wrapped around a business category or a product or a service mapped to 1 page. So it keeps focus on it. So one of the ways to establish upselling through keyword research is to let them know, the concept of keyword categories, but then based on the number of keyword categories on the service, to be able to let them know that, one easy way to look at it, instead of saying a keyword category is, this is how many products or services we would be able to market for you. And then you could upsell them accordingly. And there are some, flexibility is involved with that. I don't know if I'm going to dive down that hole or not. Just keep in mind, we also offer custom services. So there's, in other words, if you wanted to do on page for more keywords than do off page on less, that's possible as well.
Which I can vouch are fantastic work. Know your vendor, know exactly what they can provide for you, and don't be afraid to ask for something that's kind of outside the scope, guys. It works. So strongly recommend it.
Our team shocks me on a regular basis how much custom work our project managers do. There is no other vendor in the world that would dare attempt that much diversity and customization on what they do. It's wild, and it's wildly impressive as well. So using keyword research to upsell a client. Look, one of the things that I want to point out is my thing on SEO is it's always better to put more work into it and overperform than underperform. Why? Well, as you know, as SEO practitioners or SEO agencies, most of the traffic is all on the first page. So what do you get on the third page? Not much traffic, right? So it's better to put more work into it to make sure that you get high enough rankings to establish traffic. With that being said, I want to point out that on the limitations, for example, on 2 keyword categories on the local value, which is the second package up, if you wanted to just choose 1 keyword category, obviously you could do that. Or we could do on-page optimization on 2 keyword categories. And then we could, on the ongoing monthly link building, we could focus all of that to 1 keyword category. Could you call that a competitive workload? Of course you could. On the local value, that's normally targeted towards 2 keyword categories. If you applied, especially the ongoing monthly on that plan to just 1 keyword category, essentially you're putting double the amount of work into 1 keyword category. So would that say that you're putting twice the amount of work into 1 keyword category as local starter? Yeah, definitely. Could you consider that to be a competitive workload? Absolutely. There are some clients that you can run into that really overwhelmingly, there's 1 keyword category that they want to target. It's almost always going to be mapped to the homepage, and it's usually going to be wrapped around their business category. And should you apply a competitive workload to that? It's something to really consider because, for example, if the vast majority of people are looking for them by their business category descriptors, which would be mapped to the homepage, would you want to choose a second keyword category that's to a non-competitive or to a service that has minimum search volume? Maybe, maybe not. It's not always good to only target competitive keywords, right? So keep that in mind. You can put a competitive keyword workload on keyword categories. So with that being said, what's a competitive keyword category? And that's a deep conversation, and there's no way to clearly define that. Obviously, the keyword research that we do with KW Finder, we highlight keyword categories, and you could go by that. You can eyeball competitive geos and keywords. If it seems competitive, maybe you would know it to be. If you've been working in a particular niche that you focus on, you would know this really well. I wouldn't even have to talk to you about this. If all that you handle are attorneys, you're going to know what's competitive. You're going to know what geos are competitive. You're going to know what different disciplines of law are competitive to market. Usually, whenever you take any client from all business categories, whether they happen to be, whether it's a golf course or a nail salon or a chiropractor, that's when it gets a bit hard to eyeball competitive. Usually in terms of like geos and cities, I'd say it's worth putting it as a competitive on your radar at 100,000 population and up. And then let's see, in terms of upselling to the client, I think anytime that you walk into a meeting, you need to understand your product well enough to know the pricing off the top of your head. You should. Preferably, if you walked in, if you were going to have a proposal in your back pocket and ready to go, because that's how you structure your sales meetings, I would recommend price bracketing. So you would have 3 different pricing options. Darren, I don't know if you give people different pricing options.
I do, but we also recommend, and the way we always do it is This is a great starting point for you if you want to establish trust to learn that this can work for you, but you'll eventually get to this over here. Setting up an expectation the day that you're talking to them. That allows you the opportunity to upgrade them during the time that they're working with you.
Makes sense. And then obviously with price bracketing, if you gave them 3 different pricing options, you usually are going to highlight the one that you want them to go with and place the most value there. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. A lot of times, I would say a lot of times, I see oftentimes when agencies look at how we display our services and our packages and our features on them, they tend to replicate that with how they show them to the client. And I would heavily disagree with that. I don't think clients need to see our extended line items and a quantification of everything. So you can take our line items in comparison of features and break them down into what's most attractive, you feel is most attractive to the leads you're trying to close. And usually you're going to be comparing the things that matter most to them or putting descriptors to them. And then if you're price bracketing, you'd put, here's option 1, with that comes with this, option 2 and option 3. But I would assume it's not going to match what we have on ours, right? Darren, I'm sure yours is all customized and broken out and resembles
Actually,
nothing to our package.
I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, so the way I teach my team is I teach them if this is the goal, you're going to direct them to the goal with questions. So I'm going to do this with everybody on the phone right now. I'm going to make you say the 4 of spades by the time we're done with this, Paul. You ready?
Okay.
All right, so pick a card out of the deck. You just pick the 4 of spades. I'm not looking at it now. I'll say, I'll bet you I can guess that card. They go, no, you can't. Yeah, I can. All right, great. I want you to pick a color, red or black.
Black.
Okay, so now we have the black cards. Do you want the cards with faces or the cards with just numbers?
Faces.
Perfect, so what do we have left?
Numbers. All right.
Perfect. Now, do you want to take odds or evens?
What if they don't answer these questions correctly? Okay, I'll play along. Evens.
Evens. Okay, so right now we have an even black card, and obviously there's clubs or spades, right? So pick clubs or spades.
We'll go spades.
Okay, and so we have a spade in your hand. It's going to be an even card, and I want you to pick 2, 4, 6, or 8 or 10. Which one?
8.
No, I'm sorry. 2, 4, 6, that category, or 8 or 10.
6.
No. You have to pick one of. There's a category of 2, 4, and 6. Those 3 cards,
okay.
and or
the first
the
category.
8 or 10. Perfect. So we have 3 cards left, and so far I think I'm getting close. So between 2, 4, and 6, pick 2.
4 and 6.
Perfect. Pick one of those.
4.
Perfect. So if I'm correct, you have the 4 of spades sitting in your hand.
Correct.
Good sales will get the questions to direct them to your goal at all times. So how many questions do you ask them? Say, how important is for you to rank online? Oh, extremely important. Perfect. And what are the 3 most important categories that you want to go to? Well, this, and this, but Darren, I've told you this and this. Oh, so that's 5 categories. That's right. I'm sorry. You see, let the client feel like they're guiding it. Like when you have a child. If you want a child to eat, you go, do you want peas or carrots tonight? Let them be empowered. They go, I want peas. Next night, do you want carrots or cauliflower? I want cauliflower. Next night, do you want carrots or Brussels sprouts? I'll take carrots. Eventually, they eat carrots, right? So always let the client feel like they're in control, but get them to the goal of what you believe is best for them when you know that your provider, your brands can get that person towards the top pages of Google, Yahoo, and Bing. And then through that success, you're building trust. Through trust, they'll take your advice, and through that, they will stay with you longer. Okay.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's really easy. Obviously, it's really easy for you to do and say. I think other people have a lot of challenges executing that. But if, for example, if you had structured training on something like that, I think it'd make things really easy, which is what you do, right? But
Well,
I absolutely agree with you.
it's natural, right? Listen, it's listening. You have 2 ears and one mouth. Everybody's heard this. Use them accordingly. Now, I talk forever. You know that. I'm quiet. You open the mic up and I'm being quiet. But what I'm trying to say is when you are talking to a client, listen to what they have or guide them to what they want. You know what they want. If they're still sitting in front of you or still listening to you, they want your service. You have to keep building the value higher and higher and higher to make it to the point where they feel like I would be an idiot not to at least try this or do it because it only makes sense. And when you
So
don't,
the
go ahead.
you could I can completely envision you doing that entirely on a verbal only call. I'm I'm wired heavily on the technical and operational side.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to understand how to do that, I would be aligning, for example, knowing these are the keyword, how many keyword categories I can target for these packages, and which translates to this retail rate. So based on the number of products or services they want to target, I would push them towards this package. And then I would try to align the features of their package options to benefit them more if they chose that package. So I would define my price bracketing in my proposal ahead of time, and then I would work towards pushing them into that with the strategy that you're talking about. But I would model the product to get there, if that makes sense.
Well,
And I
you
would
use
use
the
the
word
keyword
push,
research to help me guide that.
right? You use the word push. I guide them. Okay, so based on what you told me with the data we have in front of us, you want to be found for Toyota cars. Is that correct? Yes. How many models do you sell here? Well, I sell Camry. I sell Highlander, RAV, and so there's 4 categories that you sell. All right. So based on that, that's your economic engine that's going to guide your business. That's going to show success. We get more traffic on those keywords. Then we can worry about the peripheral items that you bring in, correct? Yes. All right. So let's focus on 4 then. Would you agree? Okay. Now you got them to agree on their data of 4.
Yeah, you're just ridiculously good at sales, Dan. We should really have a training webinar where you just teach sales. Well, I'm not, I'm not a
trying to
sales
help your
expert.
team.
Yeah, can't pay.
I know. I'm trying to help your team.
I've had like a 14-hour workday already, so I can definitely use it for commentary.
Like the amount of people listening today, be it 1 or 10,000, I hope you're getting something out of this, because the data is important, because that's what we look at. We understand what we do, but we have to listen to what the client wants. So when they tell you that they want, then you have to guide your data to the want, and you have to make them.
Yeah, well, we've got to keep moving through this presentation,
Okay,
which I want you on, but
done.
the trick, Darren, is the whole guiding them. That's an art. I know that's an art. I'm sure that they talk about it extensively in books on how to make that happen, the push versus the guide them, let them walk into it. And that's intense, but I don't think that's intuitive to a lot of people. So and of course, okay, so I'm talking about upselling from keyword research, right?
Right.
Price bracket with it, mold your product around it. We have competition levels. If you wanted to say, hey, this is competitive, that's competitive, we give you the data to model around that. If you want to stack double the workload on a competitive keyword category, there's your upsell. And how do you upsell? Well, you can upsell from data. You can say, well, based on this data, that's competitive, and I would normally put 2 keyword categories worth of workload on this, and this is how much it's going to cost me wholesale. This is my retail. Upsell. You want more products or services, which is more keyword categories. It's an upsell. So yes, you can use keyword research to upsell. One of the other things, some people use keyword competition levels factored into a keyword guarantee, and that's a deep rabbit hole, but I'll just throw it out there. Maybe on the bottom competition levels, people would want to apply to a keyword guarantee, and higher ones they would not unless they paid more. Seen it done. Darren, you've got one of the most competitive guarantees in the entire industry. Just saying, some people map their own keyword guarantees, which we do not offer, to competition levels. And it's an upsell to get that guarantee, by the way. Just saying.
Yep.
When is keyword research too competitive? Well, obviously we have our own scoring, but you got to use some common sense behind that. Again, if our keyword research says that it's ridiculously competitive, never try to target it, but they're ranking on page 1, that's why we give you the rankings. You know, you interpret that. We have service consultants that can talk to you about that to help you digest that and what keywords are best to target. By the way, this entire slide I can summarize by saying, if you need help, you have dedicated services consultants. They're in our USA office. They're specially trained on helping you to decide what keywords and keyword categories to go after. There's your backup. So in terms of, is it too competitive? Maybe. Make sure they're not ranking on page 1 or page 2 before you tell them that. That's why we give you the rankings. Otherwise, you could go into a client meeting with a really high-end client that has a lot of money they want to pay you, and you just start consulting them on what keywords categories are too competitive. Lo and behold, they're ranking on page 1. We'll arm you with the data to make sure you don't do that. I've actually done that before. It's a bit embarrassing. Based on their history of effort in SEO, maybe you have a client and they're just letting you know that they've thrown every dollar that they possibly can into targeting particular keywords in the past. Well, I don't care what your data tells you. I would consider that competitive by default. Competitive niches in cities with over 100,000 population. Darren, I don't know if you have a population stat that you use for competitive. Of course, it depends on the niche, but I would say it definitely should be on your radar as competitive if it's over 100,000 population.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
First page results dominated by mega companies. Look, one of the easiest ways to know if a keyword is competitive is to Google it. Type it into Google, look at the first page search results. That is exactly what KW Finder does, but they dig deep in data. You can just throw it in there. I mean, you get someone that comes to you and they says they have a t-shirt company, they want to market t-shirts. You type in bamboo t-shirts into Google, what are you going to see on the first page results? Probably Amazon, major national clothing companies. You know that it's not realistic for someone with a startup t-shirt company to ever target that sort of a keyword. Similarly with other markets, national is really easy, but sometimes local you can look at. Some keywords will prompt the GMB, some will not. Some will prompt informational sites like Wiki, etc. So there's that. What to do, well, this is an interesting one. What to do when there is zero search volume. This is one of the most common things that people give us feedback on. What do I do when you gave me the keyword research and it says zero search volume? And Darren, I would loop into this conversation, what if it says 10? Is there a big difference between 0 and 10? Is there, Darren?
Well, yeah, if you're selling shoelaces, then it's not worth it. If you're selling rock crushers and they're $1 million rock crushers, then yes, I want all 10 of those people to come to my website. So it's also based on the products that they're selling or their services. It's an equation, right? If it says 0, it's 0 to 9. If it says 10, it's 10 to 19. If it's 20, it's 20 to 9, and you tell the client that. So just because eBrands will give you the Excel spreadsheet, you go in and you fix 0 to 9. You actually fix those numbers, or eBrands should do that, where they just have the numbers of the variance versus a flat number.
Right, and then there's the whole
The whole what?
On the geo-target. Look, if someone's going, if it's showing, for example, if it's if someone's typing in, I don't know, Kansas City specialty chiropractor for whatever reason, and
Right.
it says that there's 10 or less search volume or a 0 search volume, but it doesn't mean that someone's not just typing in specialty chiropractor and not typing the word Kansas City.
Or misspelling
it. Or misspelling it. But the primary thing to understand is for a geo target, like we'll just say dentist Kansas City, all we can know is how many people typed in dentist in Kansas City. We don't know how many people were in Kansas City that only typed in dentist, which many would argue would be the majority of people that are searching. We don't have that data, and nobody's showing that data either. We're not able to get that. And that's the near me search as well. So someone types in dentist near me. We don't have that data. We don't. So whenever someone types in dentist Kansas City, that gives us an inkling to know how much search volume is there, but there's actually much, much more, because a lot of people are not typing in the geo qualifier, which would be the city name or the county name or even the state level sometimes. So keep that in mind. And zero does not mean zero.
Right. Because it could be
And
Kansas, KC, right?
could be KC. Yeah.
Yep.
Could be Kansas City, Missouri. Could be Kansas City, Kansas. Yeah, use other areas of knowledge to know if there's search volume. If a client says to you that they think that this is what people are typing in to find them, and they know their clientele really well, and you look for a search volume on that and you don't see any, again, zero doesn't mean zero. If they're saying that this is what people type in to find us, and we know that we get traffic from it because we asked people that how they found us and what they searched, and they say that, I would take that as solid data. Additionally, in terms of getting other sources on search volumes, one of the best ways is if they have run a paid advertising campaign in the past, paid advertising will have traffic data. Some of the best traffic data you can get because it's actual data, not estimated data, and that'll let you know if the search volume is there. So additionally, if you've got a client in a geo area that just has low search volume across the board, I probably wouldn't even show them the search volume. It's just low across the board. It's going to be the same spill and search volume on every single keyword they want to go after, but they need to do SEO as an investment. You don't have to go over the search volume. And if you do, then you're going to always be talking to them about how zero is not zero. So let's talk about geo targets and keyword research. Darren, this one's complicated because if you got people in the service industry, whether it's contractors that come out to deal with you, or even landscaping companies that would always come to you, or whether it's in the home services category, whether it's plumbing or roofing, you know, they got a lot of geo targets. People do not come to them; they go to their clients, which means they want to go after a bunch of geo targets. You could have one home services company that is physically, their physical office is located in a suburb outside of a big city, but they want to target 3 counties. That represents about 35 different cities, and they want to go after all of it, and they want to rank on the geo targets for all of that. It gets crazy, guys. So this is one of the more complicated types of keyword research to do, because you could be like, okay, well, for this service category and that one and these 3 service categories, I need research based on these 5 different cities or these 10 different cities. And then it's going to come back and it gets difficult. So again, this is where we would have dedicated service consultants to talk to you about this, because it can get complicated. And you're going to, oftentimes when you talk to a client in the home service industry, they're going to try to pin you down on as many geo targets as they can. Darren, I don't know if you have insight into that.
Well, yeah, we have accounts, as you know, and it's a strategy. Part of it's a strategy. So an example, if you have I have a foam insulation guy that blows in foam, because in Minnesota, it gets cold. And I say, well, do you really want your guys driving from St. Paul to Minneapolis up to here? Or let's focus all of it in Minneapolis this month. Everything from Minneapolis this year, and prove that it works. Let's really do laser focus on Minneapolis. Well, now we're saving money on gas for them, right? Because they're not moving the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
They can do 2 or they can do 3 jobs versus 2 jobs because they're not traveling all over the place. So using SEO effectively is, if you're targeting an area, how will that help you from a business point of view as well? Make them think a little larger than just the words. And then they trust you because you're like, oh, you get business. You understand business. And yeah, we do. So the geo-targeting on that, we have another law firm handles all workman's comp throughout Minnesota. Well, we're about to, we're doing a new website. Once we've done that, we've got an intake form for the 6 major cities in Minnesota. And we're going to have a landing page for that page specifically. We're going to build that one out because we've already been successful with the word workman's comp across the board. So ultimately, his website has already got a great score for workman's comp. Now we're just going to be adding cities. So it's a strategy, right? You want the client for a long period of time. You don't want them for a minute. You don't want them for 6 months. You don't want them for a year. You want to build trust. You also want to learn along with them. So that's the suggestion I have. That's different for everybody. It's like you said, selling shoelaces or selling rock crushers. it all has to do with, is it a good ROI? Are you doing the right work for the right client? So.
Makes sense. The whenever you're consulting a client that wants multiple geo targets, make sure you let them know that, you know, if your physical location is here, then basically that's what your capabilities are with your GMB rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sometimes whenever you mention geo targets to a client in SEO, they think that for those 10 different cities, you're going to get them ranking in the maps or the snack pack section or the GMB, whatever you want to call it. So make sure you manage their expectations there. I would say that if someone's going to rank in the snack pack for the 10 surrounding cities and they only have one physical location, that would be because they have no competition in those 10 cities. Otherwise, they're going to have a very hard time anywhere outside of the city of their physical location. So make sure that they know that it's organic rankings. And there is a strong correlation between having a physical location and ranking organically for that geo target as well because of your directory listings and everything. Geo targets for service industry, we talked about geo targets and keyword categories. Won't dive into that because we're running short on time. Custom on page for geo targets. One of the things I want to point out is if you get a client that comes to you that wants, obviously if you look at the majority of websites in the home services industry or other verticals that go to their clients, you normally see something off the main navigation like locations or service areas that are not their physical locations. You could have someone that has 40 service areas built out where you click into it, you click into the county, you get down into the city, and then basically every single city page is a geo target page optimized for their service category or product plus geo target, right? Because they want to rank organically for 20 different cities. So those are their service areas and those pages are optimized. We build out specific local pages is what we call them. We could build out 20 of these service area pages, but that's custom. So you would have to speak with your dedicated services consultant and get that custom, which means it's going to be a higher cost, obviously, on your month one on page. But if you wanted to build out 20 service area pages, link them in, put the map on it, put the local schema up on them, does it benefit them? Absolutely, it would. It's basically standard operating procedure especially for home services industry, right? So keep in mind that that is possible. Not everything has to fit inside the box of a package. Okay, and then what I wanted to do is, and I don't know, give me a shout out if any of the service consultants are on the webinar. I looked for their names, but they're probably using other names. I was going to see if any of them wanted to speak up so you could hear from a voice of a service consultant. I assume most of you know who your service consultant is. If not, you can reach out to live chat. Let me just, I was going to pop into the dashboard. Okay. So if you're in the dashboard and you were wanting to request keyword research, you can do it by submitting a support ticket. Let me just click on the home so that I'm on a better overview. Oh, of course. It's in the very top right corner. You're going to see it kind of looks like it's a support icon, but it looks like a headphones over a head. On the top right corner over here, headphones with looks like a comment cloud on it. If you click on that, it's going to take you to where you can submit a support ticket. This is where you can go to request keyword research. Additionally, you can hit up the live chat. If you have connected with a dedicated services consultant that's been assigned to you, and they would be out of the USA office, then you probably know them by name. You probably have their phone number extension. You might have them on Skype. You have their email address. You could just hit them up direct. They can get the keyword research processed for you, and then they can get on a meeting with you to go over that keyword research to help you establish the best keywords to target on that campaign. And especially for a lot of people that are not, maybe you're not veterans in the SEO industry, or maybe you're wanting a sounding board, or you are looking for direction from someone that just does this all day long. I recommend that you connect with a dedicated service consultant. Agency Platform has made leaps and bounds in opening the USA office and training the service consultants and providing this keyword research to you. It's really a fantastic service. So I would at least walk through it a couple of times. Again, I don't know if it's doing keyword research for every single client in pre-sales is the right fit, but for a lot of them it is, and depends on your sales style too as well. Either way, I would get used to the workflow behind it and get used to the format. Most people that are used to requesting keyword research end up requesting it for every single lead that's qualified. And one of the benefits of solidifying keywords is that it makes launching the campaign a lot easier as well. Not as much client communication after post sales, right? Let's see, so that's how you contact them. You should, I don't think I need to go through services. Okay, well, let me just open this up to general Q&A at the end, since we're at the top of the hour. See Casey Stark on the line. Hey, shout out Casey. You had a question about CBD category that I saw come through. I'm sorry, I didn't. So many questions coming through on here. Okay. So does anyone have any questions and clarifications on the keyword research that's provided to you, or how to request the keyword research, or how to connect with your dedicated sales consultant? If all else fails and you're trying to connect with a dedicated sales consultant or get keyword research, you guys know you can always hit up live chat inside of Agency Platform. Yes, Casey, you should connect with me sometime on that topic matter. I'm telling you, I got to show you a platform on that. But I won't be back in Kansas City until the 1st of next month. Currently out of the country. So, hey, Darren, since you are the rock star presenter of Agency Platform, do you have closing words of inspiration to everyone looking to boom their marketing agency?
Yes, if you're like me and you can talk in analogies and things like that, you should learn your technical side, so you're able to talk to that. And if you're technical, you should learn how to guide. The key, what all of you who are listening might not know, we do a research and development charge for anybody starting with us day one. So they're paying for the first month or the 6 months or a year upfront, and on top of that, they're paying $1,000 to $3,000 just to have the luxury of working with us. But it's really research and development, the work that goes into building a strategy for them, and we lay out a blueprint. You don't build a house without a blueprint. Why would you build your marketing online without a blueprint? So there's a value in what eBrands is offering, and I strongly recommend you see the value in it versus giving it away. That's all.
I appreciate that. All right, hey, thanks again, Darren. Thanks for everyone for attending. Again, you get a chance, make sure you connect with your dedicated sales consultant. They're there, they're standing by. They'll help to consult you whether it's on the right package to choose for the keywords that you want to target, and of course, choosing the right keywords to target. And I can't stress enough, keyword selection in an SEO campaign, really, I don't want to say it's everything, but it's kind of everything, assuming that the product and the performance is there. So it dictates the direction, and kind of like what you said, Darren, honestly,
Foundation.
the keywords you're targeting, it's the blueprint, it's the pages you're targeting, it's the marketing strategy, it's the foundation.
And accountability. It's everything. It's everything they're looking at. Sorry,
services consultants that sit here every single day talking to agencies, helping them choose keywords based on research that is coming through. So make sure you connect with them, and they can help you to get research, educate your clients, and close more sales as well. Hey, thanks, Darren. Thanks, everyone else. And I will see everyone again on the next VIP webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.